Yes, we do.
You good? We're good. We're live. We're ready to go.
Ready to go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We're going to get started. My name is Arlisha Wilson. I'll be the chair of today's meeting. We're going to get started. We'll get started first with the preamble. I'll turn it over to you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this Monday, April 21st. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law and section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We've provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who provided a written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Can we call the roll?
Mr. Madison?
Present.
Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Faith?
Present.
Ms. Wilson?
Present.
Madam Chair, we have a full quorum.
Perfect. Any postponements or withdrawals today?
We do have one case that was postponed that we still should announce. It was postponed last week. We moved it to April 28th, and that is calendar number 25-043 at 1115 Parkside Road. 3-day pro investment proposed to establish use as a residential facility for 5 occupants and a AA1 limited 1-family residential district. This case will not be heard this morning due to a conflict in scheduling for the appellant. And we have sent out notices alerting the neighbors and such, but we should still announce it this morning to let folks know.
Okay.
That's
so
the
if
only
there's-
one we have this morning.
Okay, thank you, Madam Secretary. If there's anyone here for that matter, just know that that case won't go forward. You can come back and see us on April 28th. We're going to call the first case, which I have as calendar number 24-088. Is there anyone from Harp Realty Company present this morning? All right, we'll have you come forward and Ms. Holzer will read the case in while we do that.
Madam Chair, could we also note that we will be hearing these two
There is a
cases on
bundle.
Franklin?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll do
Together?
088 and 007.
All right, our first two cases are first calendar number 24-088. This is at 11213 Franklin Boulevard, parenthetically also known as 11311 Franklin Boulevard. Harper Realty Company owner and People's Choice Auto Serve LLC lessee proposed to establish use as a heavy-duty truck, parenthetically diesel and gas repair shop in a B3 General Industry District. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. There are 5, actually. Is that correct? Oh, yeah, because this is the next one. Okay. We also have calendar number 25-007. This is at 11309 Franklin Boulevard. Again, this is parenthetically 11311 Franklin Boulevard. Harper Realty Co-owner and MKH Liquidation and Surplus lessee proposed to establish use as a furniture store in a B3 General Industry District. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. And with that, Madam Chair, we're going to have Ms. Roca do the oath.
I'll do the oath. I think it's a little bit easier when you're in the room.
With that, I will hand it over to you, Madam Chair, for the oath.
All right, I'm going to swear in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? You'll raise your right hand to reply with I do, state your name, spell your name, and give your address. I'll start with you.
If you could turn your microphones on too.
Yes.
All right, good morning. I'm James Shields, SHIELDS, attorney for Harper Realty Co. and NEO Property Group.
Okay, and give us your address.
My address is 737 Boulevard Road, Suite 270, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Brant Smith, NEO Realty Group. That's BRANTSMITH. We're the property manager, not the leasing agent, but the property manager for Harper Realty Co. Our street address is 14805 Detroit Avenue, suite number 385, Lakewood, Ohio, 44107.
Okay, and do we have authorization on file for you to speak on behalf of the owner? Yes, okay, perfect. All right, so we'll go to history of the property, please. Oh, you were checking for the authorization? Yes, you can please confirm that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? Oh, we do have more folks, plenty of more folks. Okay, so if you're here for this matter, I'm gonna have you come forward. Your chair, you can just like roll a chair, but please join the party. I didn't realize we had so many people here.
Neither did we.
Surprise. All right, so I'm gonna start swearing in those of you who are not sworn in. Why don't we start with you?
Good morning, Nate Law, Cleveland City Planning, 601 Lakeside Avenue. I do.
Thank you. And I'll go for you next.
Richard Sager. I'm owner of People's Choice Auto Service.
I don't think the court reporter can hear you. Can you speak a little bit louder? That's okay. Just speak to her so she can hear you. Okay, and I'll go to you next.
My name is Edward Breedy. I am resident at 1441 West 110th Street. My last name is spelled B-R-E-D-E.
E-E. Okay, got it. I'll go to you next.
Jeffrey Blazik, resident, 1452 West 110th Street. And my last name is B as in boy, L-A-Z-E-K.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth? All right. Did I hear you say I do?
I do as well.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And next, I'll come to you.
Chad Dasher, Associate Director, Westtown Community Development Corporation, 9926 Lorraine Avenue.
Thank you, Chad. Next.
Dave Rogers, Councilman Kelly, Executive Assistant, 601 Lakeside, Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay.
I do.
Jenny Spencer, Ward 15 council member. This isn't a very unusual property. It's right on the border between 2 wards, which is why you see both Ward 11 and Ward 15 represented.
Okay.
And Cleveland City Hall, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else need to swear in?
Danny Kelly, Councilman, Ward 11, 601 Lakeside City Hall.
That everyone? All right, I think we've got everyone. Is there anyone on the call who would want to speak in this matter? All right, I don't hear anything, so now we'll confirm that we do have the authorization.
Madam Chair, we do not have the authorization. We were told that there would be an attorney here representing the owner.
Okay,
And I'm sorry.
That would be me.
Okay, so we do not
so we're
have
all set
the
with authorization.
yeah.
Okay,
The
all
attorney
right.
is.
Well, let's go to history of the property, please.
Thank you. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office for the, there's a range of addresses here. It seems to be all one building. The addresses start at 11213 Franklin Boulevard and go to 11309 Franklin Boulevard. We found very little in our Records Administration Office. We found that in 1965, a permit was issued for an addition to a foundry and office. 1967, a permit was issued to correct violations to manufacturing. In 1975, a permit was issued to establish use as auto body. And then in the more recent history, we see only that there were complaints regarding exterior maintenance and such beginning in January of 2023, and several violations were issued. One of the violation, there was a status of, I believe, it's something about the summons. There's been a court summons of some sort for that. So that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, legal, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, for both cases, appellant is requesting a use variance, or I'm sorry, is requesting area variances for the driveway, landscaping, parking, and setback requirements of the zoning code. And in addition, the first case is requesting an area variance for the minimum distance requirements. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And then there's a note that under 357-14B, the board may permit a reduced setback requirement under certain circumstances. And then in the first, on the first calendar number, appellant is also requesting an area variance, or I mean, a use variance, sorry. And to obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you for that. So now I would like to hear from the project team. We'll give you guys a chance to speak. We'll hear from everyone else in the room, and then we'll come back to you if there's anything else you'd like to add. All right, who wants to start?
I can start, yeah.
All right.
So again, Brant Smith, NEO Realty Group. We have been, we're the property manager for the building. We do not handle the leasing. We've been property manager since mid 2021. When we took over property management, the tenants that are currently in the building, the ones that are part of the zoning request for variance, were already existing tenants. And I can just describe to you a little bit about the building. So the building, from its design and use, looks and appears to be an industrial warehouse building. It's a large industrial style building with overhead doors. Many of the conditions that are being asked to be corrected or that we are proposing to have corrected on the site plan are conditions that may have existed for, 30, 50, 60, 80 years or longer. So the location and site of the property across from large vacant industrial lots, which happen to be zoned residential, are existing conditions. The fact that the building is a set number of feet back from the road or sidewalk are existing conditions. The parking lot abuts the sidewalks, existing conditions. The building faces to the north, two large vacant lots that are, chain linked off. Across those lots are residential properties. To the east is a large truck yard. To the west is an industrial building, and to the south are warehouse buildings and railroad tracks. Our goal as the property manager is to be a good stakeholder in the community. When we were contacted, I believe in spring of 2023 by Nate with the city, we, interfaced with Nate. We met him on site. We were getting a better understanding of what the city was asking. We hired an architect. We had site plans made up. Those went through numerous emails and reviews and meetings with the architect and legal counsel to get the site plan refined to a point with where it was meeting different requirements to get the building in compliance. And we also met contractors out there with those site plans. We do have contracts signed and deposits made for the landscaping work, to cut back the parking lot, to add gravel landscaping, to fix the sidewalks, to remove many of the ingress and egress that were added over the last 50 years, to repair the parking lot, to restripe it, to add bumpers so that cars, don't park and have the ends of the cars hanging over sidewalks. So although it has taken a long time, and I'm sure residents are frustrated with the timing, this is something that we engaged with almost immediately, and it's just a slow process. We also are working on updated building rules and regulations with the tenants, trying to enforce where the lease might say something very general and a few sentences about compliance with zoning. We're working on a policy that's proposed right now with the law firm and working with the ownership for a 3 strikes policy on loading and unloading pallets and packing materials. And then what would be considered, overnight storage versus how long things could sit there and be unloaded. So our goal is to, work cooperatively with the city. We've spoken with Jenny Spencer, City Council, numerous times over the past several months. And I just would like to also the residents to know here that that's our goal is to, be a good stakeholder in the community. I think Jamie has more specifics on maybe some of the codes, but that's the overall, I think, narrative of how we are here, why we're here today.
Okay, that is actually very helpful narrative. Do you want to add to that?
Yes, I would, Chair. And I think Secretary Kukla pointed out that in 1975, there was a permit to establish use as an auto body. That is part of the reason we're here today seeking a variance, because we have an auto body tenant in the building there. And so one of the technical violations is it cannot be within 100 feet of residential. As Brent touched on, that the residential that it is within 100 feet of is a truck yard, right? And so we're seeking a technical variance from that specific code violation. I believe that's 343.34. And the reason we like that variance is because we like to keep an established good tenant who is the same type of service that's been in that building since 1975. Some of the other variances.
Can I ask you about
Yep.
that permit first? Did you say there was already a permit issued for this type of?
Well, I believe Secretary Kukla said in 1975 there was a permit issued for an auto body shop.
I want to make sure it was issued and not just applied for.
Well, Madam Chair, to that question, these are records from Building and Housing. It looks like it was issued, and
Okay.
we don't have a lot of details from 1975. And of course, that
Yeah.
was, 50 years ago, so.
Yeah, this is obviously an older building. The owners have been there for a long time. Brant has been managing the property for 4 years now, and there's always been an auto body repair shop in there. Now, we have taken steps. We've recently evicted one of the tenants who was a towing facility, and we understood that we weren't likely going to be able to keep them in that spot as something that would comply with the variance requirements in this meeting. So we are taking the steps. We're evicting, we're taking, business cuts to attempt to be in good standing with the community and the municipality code requirements. What we're really seeking today is we want occupancy permits for both People's Choice Auto Service and MKH Liquidation. And to establish the occupancy of MKH MKH liquidation, we believe we only need variance requirements for the amount of landscaping frontage, which is, if you see by the site plan, they are prepared to invest $40,000 plus into this,
It's 60 plus.
60,000 plus into this site, which mitigates a lot of the strict code requirements here. And they do want to establish a 6-foot landscaping strip and make the parking lot a much more in compliance with the 349.07 C and C3.
Does that conclude your comment?
That concludes my comment.
All right. So we have next Nate Ball. Do you want to chime in?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So good morning, Chair and Board. My name's Nate Law. I'm the city planner for this area of the city. As the applicant stated, we did meet on site once there was a violation notice, and then there was a change of use permit filed in 2024. We met on site with the property management group to discuss how to mitigate these variances. At the time, there was, I think, concern that there was a towing company, as they stated, that was, I think, possibly engaged in some sort of, matters that would be handled by the police and not the zoning code. So they've taken steps to, it sounds like, evict that tenant and hopefully cut down on the more notorious use to the neighborhood. In terms of what we discussed when we met on site, we did talk about adding landscaping to the parking lot, repaving and properly draining the parking lot, because I believe that was not the current condition. We went back and forth a little bit about how to close some of the curb cuts that are on Franklin. If there's any aerial views, you can see that there's like 5 or 6 curb cuts along Franklin Avenue, which I believe is why section 349.07 is cited here as providing the accessibility to off-street parking and minimizing traffic congestion. With regards to section 343.14, which states that no motor vehicle service garage shall be located within 100 feet of a residence district. The existing condition is that there is a property across the street that actually is zoned for residential. It's zoned for a 2-family district, but it is an existing vacant overgrown parking lot. And so when I just did a quick measurement using Google Maps, it looks like the closest residence is about 140 feet away. I'll also state, there's definitely been some problems with this property in the past, but we are appreciative that the ownership group is trying to correct a lot of those wrongs and improve the property to make it look better for the neighborhood. So we do think that this would be sort of a hardship because you're talking about a property that's always been zoned for general industry, and these are uses that are allowed in general industry, but there's a technical requirement here where there's be 100-foot buffer to the residence district, although there's no residential actually on those parcels. And then lastly, with regards to the section 352.10 with the medium landscaping strip, we do think that we would like to hear more about why there's a hardship, particularly here. We do think that the landscape requirements should be met. And if it has to be, I think they're proposing 4.7 feet. We would like them to properly screen that with some additional landscaping and shrubs to sort of hide the parking a little bit better. But overall, we are supportive of the variances with the understanding that the most notorious tenant has left at this point, and hopefully these improvements will attract better tenants in the future, and they would have to come back here in the future if they were proposing another tenant that would be not allowed by the code. So
Okay. And you wanted more information on the parking. Which variance does that?
So
refer to?
number 4, the 4th variance here, which is median landscaping screening strip.
Okay.
They're proposing, I think, 4.7 feet, and the code requires 6, and we'd like to hear more about why that additional foot and a third can't be met.
Okay. Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. So I don't know the exact measurements down to the inches or feet, but I do know that when it was reviewed by the architect, drive lanes and proper turn lanes and ingress and egress were taken into account. The parking lot currently is paved all the way to the parking lot, to the sidewalks. So to achieve, I think, the 4'7" of landscaping, we're literally gonna have somebody come out, excavate back an existing parking lot that's been there for however long and put landscape rock in there. I believe it was designed to allow for proper turn radius and ability for cars and vehicles to get in and out.
Okay, understood. All right, so now we're gonna have others chime in. I think I had you swear in first. Nothing to say at this time? Okay, not a problem at all. I'll come to you next. And before you speak, if you can say your name for the court reporter, that will be helpful.
Good morning. My name's Edward Breedy, Brede. I'm a resident of West 110th Street, which is a short distance from the property in question. The issue I have is primarily with the heavy truck repair shop, which would be replacing, I believe, the tenant in the which previously had the towing company. Was there.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Just grab one of those.
Sure, sorry. Should I start over or
Yes, go ahead.
start again or no? Continue.
You can
Okay.
continue.
The amount of, we're concerned about the amount of traffic from heavy vehicles that will be taking place there. Additionally, oftentimes trucking, these heavy equipment businesses bring in a lot of outside visitors and can increase crime, the character of the location. I'm less concerned with the frontage on, it sounds like the landscaping will be a welcome addition, but primarily the West 112th is the business I'm concerned with.
Okay, understood. Thank you. I'll go to you next. Please state your name.
Sure. Jeff Blazik, 1452 West 110th Street. Dear board members, I'm here today to express my strong opposition to the zoning variances requested for this parcel, specifically the use of a heavy-duty truck, diesel and gas repair shop in a B3 general industry district and the associated variances for drive widths and landscape screening. And I would just like to show you, these are some pictures. These were included with my earlier submission, but these are actual pictures of property in question and dated, showing what we've, as neighbors, have had to go through over the years. This property has been the subject of numerous nuisance complaints over the years by its longtime owner of 50 years, the most recent of which has been an illegal auto towing and chop shop in the very same space now proposed for heavy-duty truck repair. Over the years, neighbors, myself included, have witnessed the following, which is noted on the photos, which has had a detrimental effect on our surrounding residential neighborhood. And those items are numerous junked and inoperable vehicles left in the open, unscreened parking lot along Franklin Boulevard for weeks at a time. Junked and inoperable vehicles left open and unsecured along the neighboring West 112th side street. Large tow trucks and scrap vehicles parked in the tree lawn and illegally on neighboring parcels. Large tow trucks blocking roadways and scrap metal parts left in the roadway. Service work being performed in the open lot and on neighboring West 112th Street. And if we could go to the aerial photo, please. Is it possible to go to the aerial photo? Okay. This property sits along Franklin Boulevard, which serves as both a gateway to the city of Cleveland. West 117th Street is right to the right there, and is a highly trafficked and walked through street for the neighborhood. It also directly faces several residential housing streets and is part of the Far West Design Review District. As such, all required landscape and parking setbacks should have been implemented and brought into full effect as tenants changed. This has never been the case, with ownership leasing to whomever they choose without obtaining any permits. Moreover, granting the requested variances would not alleviate any hardship on the part of the owner. Rather, they would permanently codify and effectively reward their past leasing to nuisance tenants and uses not appropriate to the neighborhood, to the detriment of residents and visitors alike. For reference, prior tenants have included a roofing company, proving that appropriate tenants and uses can be found outside of heavy-duty auto truck repair. In summation, zoning codes exist for a reason. I humbly ask that you deny the requested variances and require only the existing allowable uses and the full enforcement of all required parking and landscape screening for this parcel. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for that. I have on my list next, Chad Dasher. Okay.
Good morning. Like I said, my name is Chad Dasher. I'm the Associate Director at Westcom Community Development. I've been working with the residents and businesses in this neighborhood for over 25 years. And I have to side with the residents on this. One thing that what we're seeing is becoming a problem here in the city is automotive uses, especially repairs. the ones that are really close to residential districts, that's my biggest hangup on this. It's just too close for this, because before you know it, things are going to be parked up and down the streets. There's going to be too many vehicles on the lot. I see this with 99% of the businesses that do this. This is how they operate. I just don't think it is, the people that have to, whose houses are near this. We've got a number of them all over the West Town service area, which is Ward 11, and there's no enforcement on it. There's cars, lots packed to the gills. Doing body work and heavy work like that right near residential districts. You can smell paint. It's just constant pounding, and it's just a real nuisance for the neighbors. And I pretty much are moving forward. I'm going to side with whatever they want on this, because like I said, this is their home, and this is a lot of variances it's not like they're just asking for a landscaping variance. I mean, this is a lot of variances they're asking for. It's just, like Mr. Blazek said, these ordinances were put in for a reason. And this is a perfect example. Thank you.
Dave Rogers, Executive Assistant to Councilman Danny Kelly, Ward 11. I just wanted to chime in a little bit because I get a lot of the complaints, and Jenny's assistant, Joan Asser, we get tons of complaints about it. Even there's many other, I believe, submitted objections to it on file now. I think this is a stewardship issue right from the start. Scoops Towing is gone, but they were awful. And there's still, right now, I think there's a 53-foot trailer parked on West 112th today. That's not supposed to be there. The issue is getting enforcement, whether it's building and housing or Cleveland Police. It's difficult to get the level of enforcement we need. And a lot of these owners, I believe, know that. They come into Cleveland with automotive usages and it's playtime. And they park all up and down the streets. There's junk vehicles everywhere. There's still junk vehicles left over from Scoops Towing, and they've been gone for some months now. It's so difficult to get the level of enforcement you need to have automotive usages, especially repairs and a lot of dealerships, that once you invite that in, you open up Pandora's box. Chad, I'm going to echo what Chad said. Our ward is filled right now with illegal repair usages. Granted, they're trying to get granted the variances needed, but if all the landscaping that's proposed, if there's any permits pulled, why hasn't any of that happened? There's still piles of pallets on West 114th. I was riding my bike down West 114th a couple weeks ago, and the guy that runs MKH Liquidators had a forklift in the middle of the street, 12-foot boxes of siding. And if I wasn't on a bike, I wouldn't have been able to pass down 114th. There's always this notion, I think, where once you get something in Cleveland, you just do whatever the heck you want. And I know I can speak for myself personally. I am tired of that. Everybody comes to Cleveland with this notion of, hey, the owners might live in Lakewood or wherever, but they have their business in Cleveland and it's playtime, and they congest the streets with junk vehicles. It's very unsightly. And if any of those improvements with the landscaping, I just don't understand why they wouldn't have at least been started on. I personally don't have faith that any of that would even happen and needs to happen. And if it had been started or completed, would bode far better to the stewardship here. But I just don't think there's good stewardship here. Now with MKH Liquidators, you've got these giant pallets of roofing shingles everywhere. There is the ingress egress on the weekends. It's all congested over there. I don't know that that's a great place to have a warehouse. And I'm not a fan of any automotive usages at all, because they do nothing but generate complaints. We have 3 other illegal used repair shops in Ward 11 right now that building department's working with to put into violations. Some are going to end up in here. This notion that Cleveland is just where you go and just do whatever you want to make money has got to stop. It's all for profit. Like it was mentioned, there's other businesses that would be more suitable there and wouldn't cause a problem with traffic and with the potential for junk vehicles. And some of these improvements should have already been made, and we can't even get the problems cleaned up.
Okay.
With that, I'd like to finish.
All right. I have Jenny Spencer next. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. May I start with a point of clarification from the appellant, asking a question of the appellant? Can you clarify, because there's 2 different calendar numbers here, so a lot of it's getting commingled, and I really want to take the time to clearly speak to each one. Correct. So to the appellants, how long has People's Choice Auto Serve been in the building, and are the 2 junk vehicles that are currently on 112th, do they belong to People's Choice Auto Serve?
I've been here 4 years. But the junk vehicles are scooped going.
Okay, so we have the issue with needing to get those latent scoops towing. Okay, I do want to first just really affirm everything that's been said by community members. This has been a longstanding series of irresponsible practices on the part of the tenants and the owners. And in fact, one thing I've been frankly confused about from the beginning is these tenants don't have certificates of occupancy. So there's sort of, this question of, while I'm grateful that the owners and the representatives have evicted Scoobs Towing, which was the worst case scenario. For years, the community suffered with everything that you've heard described. Though that tenant is gone, there's really a trust issue here because these were never operating legally. There were never certificates of occupancy. So we're playing catch up here. This has been a long standing problem. Now, I think what's on the table here is that the owners are proposing roughly $60,000 of these improvements to the parking lot with landscaping and screening. I do not think that would be a bad thing for the community. Right now, it's really unattractive. It looks like forgotten property. Even though it's used, it looks very much forgotten. I think that $60,000 investment is of value to the community. Franklin Boulevard is a very busy stretch of street. It's almost like the front door to this part of the neighborhood, very high vehicle count. But I'm not sure how to get past this trust issue. And so although this area is zoned heavy industry, I would say, if the board were to consider granting these variances, is there a way to provide additional protections to the community? Can it be done with conditions? Because while we want the improvements, while the community needs and deserves the beautification, the landscaping, screening, and I do want it on the record, though, that you can't, and I've spoken with Mr. Smith about this, you can't just plant, trees look pretty on a picture, bunch of row of trees. You can't stick a tree in the ground and walk away. They won't make it. So you really have to invest in those trees over time. You have to provide ongoing stewardship with the landscaping. I do want to keep this siloed for just a moment. I'm less familiar with the appellant related to 24088, which is People's Choice Auto Serve, which that's what I asked a question about. MKH Liquidations is the other appellant here. And frankly, since Scoobs Towing was evicted, I have received endless complaints about MKH Liquidations. And I didn't witness what David witnessed with the forklift in the street, et cetera. But there is an outdoor storage issue where they have kind of continuous revolving door of materials in the parking lot and piles of pallets and things like that. So at this point, I think we would need more. That's their credit tenant. I mean, MKH leases most of the space in that building. I don't necessarily think it's a good thing for the community to have a vacant building or to have that tenant evicted, but those outdoor storage and delivery practices must change. And at this point in time, I do not have a high comfort level based on the track record of this owner that the verbal assertions made here today about we'll do some landscaping, we're working with the tenants. How does the community actually have the protections it needs that we don't walk away from a BZA hearing today and let's say they are able to obtain certificates of occupancy. How do we ensure, as David said, enforcement's really tough with a threadbare building and housing department, really tough. Police are oversubscribed. So how do we protect the community? How do we get the investment the community deserves? I don't think a vacant building would serve the community, but how do we get the protections through this process? So I would not support the variances unless we are able to, as part of them, ensure that the promises made about storage and delivery practices, no junk vehicles, no pallets, outdoor storage, and the landscaping are fully complied with them. So I'm not familiar enough with the process to know how that would be done, but that's what I would advocate for.
Okay, so we hear that. And just to briefly answer that question, the board is permitted to issue a variance with conditions. And in order to get the variance, they have to first meet the conditions. So it sounds like what your concerns are related to can be conditions that we can place. Things like no junk vehicles. I mean, the landscaping, they would have to, meet those requirements. And then no outdoor storage or delivery, that those can also be conditions. But we're back to the problem of enforcement. So even if we place those conditions, we would have to think about how we do the enforcement. So can you speak to what your plan is as far as the outdoor storage and delivery practices go? And I see that your hand is raised, sir. Are you here for this case? Oh, perfect. Why don't you come to the table? I'll let them speak and we'll swear you in and give you an opportunity to speak as well, okay? All right. Did you all have something to say about the storage and facility practices, or do we want to leave that to MKH? We'll leave it to him. Okay.
I think I should speak up for myself.
Okay, I'm going to swear you in. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please state I do. Give us your name, your address. And go forward with your
I do.
statement.
My name is Mario Hanna, owner of MKH Liquidation Surplus at 11309 Franklin Boulevard, Cleveland,
Spell
Ohio.
your name for us.
MARIOHANNAH.
Okay. And you're from MKH. Tell us about what you want us to know.
As me being the owner of MKH Liquidation Surplus, there's a lot of things that I've been through over the past 4.5 years that I've been there. First of all, the company, it was supposed to be started as a company that was supposed to be like part-time or like just a side job for me. I never intended for the company to be what it is today. MKH is a growing business. I plan to potentially buy the building here over the next, hopefully, year or so. But in the meantime, we are MKH is a pillar of the community. A lot of stuff that you guys see outside, like the empty pallets or pallets of material, the revolving things of consistent things that I continuously buy. Like I just took in 9 truckloads of shingles. These shingles are getting put on houses all around Cleveland, Ohio, Lorain, East Cleveland, homes all over the city. So not only are those pallets of shingles, there's composite decking that's outside. Some of the material that's outside is stored outside in some of these same other companies that are similar to what I do. Before I got there was a roofing company there before as well. Not only that, the same stuff, like I said, you see, it's the same stuff I continuously buy over and over and over. It's the same, they're building materials that are always outside of any other company. There really isn't a way to kind of put the composite decking inside the building because some of the doors aren't large enough to take some of the stuff through these doors. If I had to get rid of some of this stuff, it would hurt my company if I had to stop selling some of this stuff. You know, we sell a lot of building material. We're not just a furniture store. I sell vinyl flooring, kitchen cabinets, light fixtures, bathroom vanities. You name it. We're almost like a small Home Depot or lumber supply, or there's more to MKH than just furniture. What people probably are thinking. We started off a very, very small business, like I said, and now we're upwards of doing almost over $400,000 in sales, a year. Last year we did over $4 million in sales, and the business is growing, like I said. So as far as upkeep with the outside of the pallets and stuff that's outside the building, I can contain on keeping them as neat as possible, but I can't really control what the neighborhood does when I'm not there. So if I have a stack of pallets out front and they're kind of tucked away and stacked up nice and neat to the side, there's people that come and they take the pallets and they go through them and they destroy them and they take the only sizes that they want to resell them. And then I'm left with all of the scrap pieces of pallets, and then I have to dispose of them, which I get a new dumpster once or twice a month. And in that way I throw them in the dumpster. As far as keeping the property clean, we try to keep it as clean as possible. Like I said, I'm a small business owner, so if there is homeowners out front at nighttime, it's me probably trying to clean up the parking lot at night, or me moving some stuff around trying to organize something, or me loading something for somebody. But we're open from 11 to 6, which those hours I think consists with people coming home from work around that time, getting off around 5 or 6 o'clock, and that's why I kind of chose those hours. I know that we are, the way that the building is positioned, there is residential like right across the street. So sometimes it can look like a lot of those trucks are coming to me, but there's a trucking parking lot like right across the street where some of those truck drivers, they're headed right across the street to the other trucking, parking station or whatever. But we do take some majority of our deliveries through the docking area. And the trucks that you do see outside, the majority of the time are trucks that are being either loaded or unloaded with material that's potentially either stand outside. But as far as like the pallets being so much, it'll be hard. It's hard to keep up with having somebody coming to pick up like pallets like every single last day, because I sell between like 150 to 180,000 square foot a month of vinyl plank flooring, which is equivalent to 7 to 8 truckloads a month minimum. That's not including all the rest of the stuff that comes through in and out throughout the warehouse. But me as being a tenant, I try to do my best, is trying to keep in the front, as neat as possible. I heard the lady talking about trees. It's not a problem to have one of my guys go out and water the trees, or, making sure there's mulch in the mulch bed, or, helping maintain the building. That's not a problem at all. That's easy. I can do that myself. It's just that it's probably not my responsibility to plant the trees, but if you want me to, a tree probably only costs $100, and
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, it's okay.
It sounds like he's doing a different business than what he's been adjudicated for. We have them as furniture sales.
I'm not just a furniture company. I am an authorized dealer for the Ashley's Furniture brand, like Northeast Factory Rack, Levin's, Elgin, and Wayside. So we have a 16,000 square foot inside the warehouse dedicated to just furniture showroom. But there's also more there. We also sell furniture, so we're similar to American Freight, but we also sell building material, which makes us similar to almost like a Home Depot, or, like I said, a Lowe's or a Menards. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
It doesn't seem like he's been adjudicated correctly
For that
then.
use.
We would
Shannon
need
Tain is
the Building
raised.
and Housing to review it. And I don't believe anything about exterior storage was even on the application, or it would have been noted, because there's screening requirements. And I don't know if Shannon wanted to add to it.
Yep, I can see that
We
her
couldn't
hand is
hear any
raised.
more on this case today until there's a new
Proper
adjudication from Building and Housing.
Miss Leonard, hold on one second. Miss Leonard, I can see that your hand is raised. Can you chime in, please?
Yeah, good morning, Madam Chair. Shannon Leonard, Chief Zoning Administrator. So the furniture store was applied as simply a retail furniture store, and they were adjudicated as a retail furniture store. However, based on the testimony that we are hearing right now, if they're going to be storing a warehouse, storing building materials, doing outdoor storage, that requires a different set of needs. And nothing on the site plan indicated that they were anything more than just a furniture retail tenant selling furniture out of a store. And so if you're storing outside, whether it's junk vehicles or whether it's just building materials, you generally need a 7-foot opaque fence around that storage. As you can see on the site plan, there's nothing out here indicating any type of exterior storage. So we would need to re-adjudicate with the proper information.
Okay, and talk to us about what you need from them to initiate that process.
The applicant and the attorneys would need to submit a site plan indicating where they're going to be storing materials or storing junk vehicles, and then they would need to add a fence if they're going to be doing any type of outdoor storage.
That's not a problem.
Okay, so do they need to submit something to Building and Housing in terms of like a different application for this particular use?
They would need to they can amend their applications, or they
Okay.
can submit a new one. The biggest problem though is you generally can't have a 10-foot fence in the front yard, and that front yard has a 10-foot specific setback that's on our building maps of the city. So, it may be a situation in which outdoor storage is not a proper use at this location. They would need to figure that out with their architects and their attorneys.
So can I speak really
I'm
quick?
going to speak to the attorney. How would you like to proceed? Do you want to amend this application, or do you want us to go forward with the decision today?
Yeah, we have to go forward today. That would be another landlord tenant problem as far as what to do about the tenant permanent use, because that's.
Well, I think I'll speak to this. I mean, I think, we brought this up during the process. The description was quote unquote, as it was written, furniture store, I think it was in quotations, we brought that up. But primarily, I think the way the owner had signed the lease, and also it's just, my understanding was, the way it was negotiated, the broker the owner used, and the property was mostly for inventory and warehousing. That's how I would describe it to a layperson. So if tenants, are changing their uses and how they want to use the building, these aren't things that were submitted to us in writing. I don't know what we're to go back and change the site plan on a, ever evolving business. I think that, moving forward, the site plan and the business as a lease between the owner's leasing broker and the ownership and the tenant is where I think we would proceed today.
When can I say, the first sign of the lease, no,
Hold on one second.
Um,
Madam Secretary.
we could not go forward with it if they're planning any exterior storage that was not posted in the public
On the
record.
thing. Okay, so that would be a question to you.
when I first signed the lease in 2020, no one never told me that. I told them the description of the business and what I sold. I've always sold shingles. The same stuff I'm selling now is the same stuff I sold when I was in my backyard back in 2019. I told them I sold shingles. I told them I sold tile, all type of building material. That's how I started this company, with liquidation, buying pallets of store returns and canceled orders and stuff like that. And the owner of the building and the leasing manager, the property manager, whoever it was at that time, knew this. It's not nothing new. I've been storing stuff outside forever. It's always been maintained. It just probably hasn't been a nuisance until someone really actually paid attention to it, because of Scooby had all those trash cars out there catching on fire and people breaking into them, sleeping in them. I've always maintained and tried to keep what I had going on. I mean, I understand these guys they got a job to do for the owner of the building. I'm not going against them, but they probably just want to try to figure something out and get this done with. But at the same time, if I had to lose the building material, this would be detrimental to my business. I'm in the process of building a $1.8 million house in Westlake. If I had to lose half my business and my sales, that would be detrimental to what I have going on. Like, I can't just stop selling, like somebody, like, we have to find a way to kind of figure this out. If I need to put a fence up and figure something out, I pay for it. It's not a problem. So
Okay, so that's going to be the call of the applicant here. I mean, there is a problem with outdoor storage. The community has been very clear about that being a problem. Do you want to get a variance and still have a chance to get cited again? Or do you want to resolve this fully and figure out what you do to get it resolved fully?
if you guys,
Does not allow for outdoor storage. It sounds like.
so does that mean I get to leave the building and break the lease? And there goes almost $40,000 a month, $30,000 a month.
Discuss resolution that is complying with the zoning requirements. That's why we're here. The fence is not realistic or something.
Why does it have to be a 10-foot fence?
Something you guys want to discuss off of the record, or do you want to?
Yeah, can we
make a
just-
decision?
I'd like to discuss it off the record.
Sure.
You would like to discuss it off the record?
Yeah, are we able to come back on the record today?
Oh, that's unprecedented.
Ms. Wilson, it looks like Ms. Leonard has her hand up.
Is that an old hand,
It's a
Chief,
new-
or do you have a new comment?
No, I have
Okay.
a comment. So
All
the
right,
permit
please.
the permit was submitted for a furniture retail store. So it affects the occupancy classification under building and housing. So if they're doing interior storage and exterior storage, that's different than a retail furniture store. So, and it requires a different set of reviews from the building and housing in terms of the occupancy. So if he's storing building materials on one side of the building and they're doing heavy duty truck repair on the other, I know that concerns building, the Ohio Building Code in different ways. That's not the purview of this board, but they would need to amend the application. Additionally, if they were to need variances for, say, a fence, because they don't want to put in the fence, they would have to come back before this board and get those from you. So, we really need to re-adjudicate it.
Yeah, it looks like there's no way around it. I mean, it has to be re-adjudicated because it doesn't make sense to decide on a variance that's not the full picture of what it is that you all are doing.
I guess my question is, if the site plan was designed, with the owner's review and approval and an architect, then there's an expected business use, which includes, interior inventory and warehousing and retailing. A business use that is just changes, as the business grows, it might not fit the building. I don't think it's why we're here today. So I guess I'm.
So that's not the reason why the business is changing. The business is changing and the use of the space is being used differently because you guys won't fix the roof and all of my materials getting wet and I've lost over $100,000 over the past 4.5 years, and I can't keep calling insurance companies to replace things. And also because you guys charged me almost $3,000 for using the dock area because I stored something down there for a few months, and you guys had a problem with it. So I had to pay you guys. So yes, I am occupying the space in the dock area besides bringing in truckloads and storing stuff down there to the point where I can't put stuff outside down there because you guys are being petty. So yes. It is being used differently. I can't put stuff in specific areas because the roof leaks everywhere.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys have some things to work through. We'll give you the time to work through that. Does it make sense to pick a new date today, or should we allow them to follow the process?
Would you guys like to see videos and pictures?
We can give them a new date today.
You want to give a new date today? Okay.
May 19th would be
Okay.
a
Sean,
great
thank
date
you so
to give
much.
time for the
New
building
application.
housing to
and-
review it, and unless the appellants need a little more time.
Is that enough time? It's about 30 days, give or take. All right.
And this could just be for the furniture store this morning if we wanted to go forward. I believe we can with
On
the other case.
one, I think that would make sense. So is there any questions?
I have a question though. I'm not understanding how we can rule on them separately. We're.
Mhm.
Have to be some sort of, if they're doing a new site plan, we're considering potentially a fence outside because it's outdoor storage.
And that would be for the full property.
Yeah.
I do think that maybe keeping them together is beneficial.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. All right, so May 19th, we'll bring this case back on May 19th. Your testimony is in the record, so you don't need to come back down unless, of course, you want to. You're welcome to join us. We'd love to have you, but just wanted you to know that. So we're going to adjourn this case until May 19th. Have your conversations, figure out the use that you want to put in the amended application, and then we'll come back before the board. Okay? All right, very good.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Councilman, I did not give you an opportunity to speak. I just looked at your face and was like, "Ah, don't kill me."
Madam Chair, that's fine. I was listening and it went on a different route, and then I think we've come to a point that we need to be. So thank you all very much.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry about that, Councilman.
There, I see Shannon raise their hand on this time here. You might have
Another comment? Shannon, please chime in.
If you could have the applicant update both site plans if they intend to add fencing to the landscape, to the parking lot, or indicate wherever they're going to do outdoor storage if they determine they even have room for that on site.
Understood. Understand those marching orders? Yeah, okay, very good. Thanks, Shannon. All right, we're gonna adjourn this case. We'll see you back on May 19th.
Thank you.
All right? All right.
I thought you were going to work.
All right, we're now gonna call calendar number 25-039. This is at 116 Madison Avenue. Do we have an appellant present for Madison Avenue?
please take the conversation.
Anybody present for Madison Avenue? Right. Do we have anyone present for 11618 Madison Avenue? I'm not hearing anybody.
Tattoo shop on Madison. Anyone?
All right. Yes. Yep. We'll give 117 Madison LLC a call. I'm now going to turn to 11808 Phillips Avenue. Anyone present for this matter? Nobody's here today. Can y'all hear me? What's going on here? Okay, so there's another one to add to your call list, Brittany. Gentlemen, do you mind stepping outside for us, please? It's a little bit of noise. All right, anyone here for 1115 Parkside?
Was postponed.
Oh, that one is postponed. Let me look at my agenda and not disprint it. All right, anyone here for 3262 Warren Road? Actually, this is the one where there's lots of them. Yes, please come forward.
All right. Let me think of how I'm gonna read this in.
Okay, I'd love to hear that. Because I was a little worried. No, I know that there is 1, 2, Your treat? Yes, your treat. I'm coming. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
So-
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 19. Okay, we have 19 calendar numbers for you all. We're not gonna read every single calendar number. We're just gonna sort of streamline it. We'll read one of them and put in all of them on the record. Ms. Hoser.
Yeah, I'll read the one with the 4 variances and then the ones with the 3. Okay, so our first case of these 19, I guess, is calendar number 25-044. This is at 3262 Warren Road, parenthetically Unit 1. Greenway Scranton Investments LLC owner proposes to erect a townhouse in an A1 one-family residential district and an RA1 townhouse district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4. Next, we have calendars number 25-045, 25-046, 25-047, 25-048, 25-049, 25-050, 25-051, 25-052, 25-053, 25-054, 25-055, 25-056, 25-057, 25-058, 25-059, 25-060, 25-061, and finally 25-062. And I don't know if the addresses are up there, 3262 to 3274 Warren Road, and a bunch of units. Greenway Scranton Investments LLC owner proposes to erect a townhouse in an A1 one-family residential district and an RA1 townhouse district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3 for these 18. And with that, Madam Chair, I will hand it over to you for the oath.
Excellent job, Ms. Hoser.
Same girl trying her best.
So I'm going to swear in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is nothing but the truth and the whole truth? You reply with I do. State your name, spell your name, give your address. I'll come to this side, start with you.
Good morning. I'm Nate Lull, Cleveland City Planning Commission, 601 Lakeside Avenue. Last name spelled Lull. I do.
Thank you.
Anthony Fiorini with Maverick Building Co., part of the ownership group with Greenway Scranton. Fiorini is the last name.
You say I do?
I do.
Thank you.
Wolf Young Design Studio. I do 15614 Detroit Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio.
Okay, and spell your last name.
Oh, WLFE.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I'll go to you next.
I do. Brandon Young with Young Design Studio. That's BRANDON, UNG. Address is 15614 Detroit Avenue, Lakewood.
Okay.
And I do. Slife, SLIFE, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Thank you for that, everyone. We'll go to history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We found that actually this property is in split zoning between multifamily and single family, and it has been since 1929. At least that's what I found on our GIS map. We didn't find any records in our records administration office. We did find in our Acela system, though, that in April of this year, there was a document stating that the property has 3 structures on the lot. Oh, and then we did see that there was a rental registration in October of 2023 and a lead safe certificate issued for 6 units on the property. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
All right, legal, please.
Okay, Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances for all of these from the facade, minimum depth of active uses, and minimum porch depth requirements of the zoning code. And additionally, the very first one, there is also an area variance for the minimum interior side yard. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
All right, thank you for that. I'll turn to the project team. Did you say you wanted to go first?
If I may, so this is a very exciting project. Just to orient yourself, St. Mary's Church is just to the north of here, and from the picture that you saw, we're actually talking about really the interior of the site. So it's not really even visible from Warren Road, and the reason that I think that there's an obvious hardship in applying the zoning code is simply because it's an interior lot. But just a little bit of history. This project was brought to the city previously as a 19-unit townhome development, but as a rental component. And given that it went through the planning commission essentially as a multi-family residential project, throughout the entirety of the conversations, it was stated by the project team that the decision to the end result be rental was more about the market than about building design. They are built as 19 individualized units with different water meters. It's very clearly, by the look of it, a townhome development, but since it was not for sale, it was considered to be multifamily. Things changed, and it was decided by the development team that it would be advantageous for it to be a for sale product. There's a strong demand for this sort of product in the neighborhood. We actually lose a lot of people who are eager to live in the neighborhood, but are looking for a newer type build, and we just don't have it. So that's why there's been so much enthusiasm. Lo and behold, the decision to switch to for sale became more difficult because now we're talking about having to parcel off all the different lots. We're having to make sure that we're adhering to a different aspect of the building code, which was we were already building to, in my understanding. So I guess I have a request and then a commitment. My request is that the Board of Zoning Appeals grant these variances, as this project has been worked on for about 24 months as of now. It's gone through separate city processes. It's a very compelling project. The commitment that I will make as a member of the Planning Commission, and I've spoken about this with leadership in the Planning Department as well, is having a more thoughtful conversation moving forward about when we are looking at things as townhomes versus non-townhomes. I live in a single family home, but the zoning code does not speak to whether I own it or rent it. And I think that the intent of our townhome code is not really to talk about ownership, but an understanding that if we are building things that look like townhomes, that operate like townhomes, we should probably be holding them to the townhome standard, regardless of what the end intent is for them to be for sale or for rent. So this is a great example of no good deed going unpunished. Thank you for your investment in Ward 17.
All right,
So,
thank you for that, Councilman. Which of you would like to speak on behalf of the project team? Just state your name before you speak for the court reporter, please.
Yeah, this is Anthony Fiorini.
Okay.
So yeah, just to echo what Charlie was saying, we're really excited about the project. Early on when we decided to do a for rent, the market was very unstable. And again, I think we're still in an interesting market, but there's a major value with this project going for sale with the tax abatement and bringing in inventory to the community. So we've worked with Councilman's Life and the church and all the neighbors around to really put this project together and design it in a way that made sense and got adoption. And I feel like the process that we went through was very collaborative, and we're happy with the end result. So again, thank you for the opportunity. We're looking forward to starting this project and are hoping for these variances to be approved.
Okay. Anybody else want to speak?
Yeah, Brandon Young, architect with Young Design Studio. I just wanted to first applaud Shannon Leonard for working with us the last 12 months or so on this. In regards to the variances specifically, just very briefly, the project received, approval from design review, and it's more or less stayed, the design has remained the same for since then. So the request for, the transparency, 337-031, we add, there's really not much space to add more glass on the first floor. We have a garage door, essentially a mudroom next to the garage. So we try to maximize that as much as we could. The second variance, again, it's essentially a entry next to the garage. So there's a small mudroom, but no active uses proposed is the variance request we're asking for. And then the third one, proposing a depth of 4 feet where the requirement is 6 feet in depth. The lot is so small for each one of these units that we wanted to increase the front yard space as much as possible. So we still think 4 feet in depth is a good amount of space for a front porch. So, thank you.
All right. Did you want to speak? No. Okay, I'll turn to you next, Mr. Lowe.
Okay, good morning. Yeah, so I just wanted to also state city planning support for this project. It's been a long process. This was approved by the City Planning Commission, again, as it was at the time multifamily, but it was approved on December 15th of 2023 for final approval. And then once we were informed that they were changing the ownership structure of these properties to, we also brought it to City Planning Commission for a conditional approval for townhouses in I believe a one-family district since it's split zone, and that was approved on February 21st, 2025 of this year. Overall, we're very supportive of these variances. They're very minor when you look at the 1.67 foot variance and the 2.3% variances, very minor variances, and think this is meeting a really important demand of the neighborhood for new housing, which hasn't seen, I think, new housing since the late 90s, early 2000s. So we're really excited to be bringing this to this area of the city.
Would you characterize the variance for no active uses, where no active uses proposed, as minor as well?
I think with regards to that variance, it really is a site constraint more so with the approved plan. You obviously see with the garages proposed, there's really nowhere else on the property to put garages except for in the front. It's not something we would typically see around new townhouses in the city, but I think also given the understanding that this is an interior lot where this almost functions more like a subdivision than a townhouse project that would be seen on like a main road. I think it's much more appropriate. This isn't going to be like a high traffic street. This is going to be the people who live here are going down the street pretty much exclusively. So.
Okay, and do you believe that the project as proposed fits within the context of the neighborhood?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I think it's actually a little bit of a new product, the townhouse specific component to this part of the city, but I do think that there is high home ownership in this area of the city. And think that this is, sort of a unique and new type of housing, but I think it fits really well. The architecture of it also complements the neighborhood, and that's why it was approved at Planning Commission.
Okay, perfect. And then one last question for the project team. If you're not granted the variance today, can you describe what difficulty you might face as a result of that denial? And that's for any one of you to grab.
Yeah, I think just the site constraints, and with like Nathan said, the width, trying to get a more active use on the ground level would have to increase the footprint of the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I wonder if Mr. Bay could put up a site plan?
All right. He's clicking around. Give him just a minute. Mr. Madison, did you have a question in the interim?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. What's the timeline that's remaining for the project?
Yeah, we hope to start demolition within the month and then site work immediately after. And then vertical build would start later this summer, early fall, and then concluding late winter, early spring. Oh, Anthony Fiorini with Maverick.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the board?
I have no other questions, Madam Chair. I'm ready to move I could go to a motion.
All right, please.
Okay. I would have to concur with Councilman Slice's assessment of the need for this project in the neighborhood and, excuse me, and having reviewed all of the variances needed, they're all, as Mr. Lull stated, pretty minimal considering the nature of the project. So with that being said, I move that we approve all the various calendar numbers pertaining to this project.
All right, thank you, Ms. Faith, for the motion. Is there a second?
Board member second, and I think Mrs. Leonard, I'm not sure if her hand's raised
I
or.
think that's an old hand. Chief, can you tell us if you have a comment?
No, my hand's just tired. I didn't know my hand was still up. I apologize.
All right, thanks. So we have a motion, we have a second. Let's call the vote, please.
Ms. Holzer?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Mr. Madison?
Yes.
Ms. Faith?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Calendar numbers 25-044 through 25-062 are granted. They'll be ratified next Monday and we will send you a letter. You can contact us next Wednesday for further instruction.
Thank you.
And then you get the Guinness World, this is off the record. You get the Guinness World Book of Records for the quickest time we spent on 19 cases. Okay, so thank you for that.
And the first townhouse variance.
Thank you. Congrats.
Okay, so we had two cases that we had to pass because there was no appellant present. Did we have an opportunity to get a hold of them? Are they coming in?
Yes, we placed phone calls, but they went straight to voicemail.
For both of them?
Yeah, and actually, one of them was disconnected. Brittany did reach out to, it stepped out of the room to reach out to another person that we have on the application for Madison. So it's up to you if you'd like to dismiss this. Just for the record, they can ask for reinstatement if there was something, if there was an emergency or something, they can contact our office and ask for reinstatement.
Feel like if it's the first time, we can put them back on the calendar. What do you think? I mean, if they're not responsive, I don't want to just clog the calendar though.
Right, no, I would wait until they contact us to, we'll reach out again and we're gonna send them something in writing.
Okay.
And they can respond to that.
Okay.
We usually give them, 10 days but they can always ask for it down the road too, and it could be up to you to reopen the case.
Okay.
I would not suggest giving it a new date right now.
Okay. All right. So then we will dismiss calendar number 25-039. There's no appellate present. Any objection to dismissing?
No
No
objection.
objection.
All right. Thank you. We're also going to dismiss calendar number 25-042 for lack of appellant. Any objection to dismissal there?
No objection.
All right. We're going to now move to old business. We have numbers 2 through 10. Any objection for these?
No objection.
No objection.
Objection.
All right, and then we've got a postponement of calendar number 21-108. It looks like they agreed to April 28th, which is pretty soon. Is that enough
Actually,
time for them?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam Chair. They're scheduled for April 28th. We've received an updated site plan showing a new building being placed on it. It came a little later than we expected.
Okay.
It's been since November, since this case has been pending, but we only got this, approximately 25 days ago, I think. So we haven't really been able to get an updated adjudication yet.
Okay.
So we are, with the new information, we've found that it needs to go through design review, a local design review, as well as city planning commission. So we may actually want to put it on the 19th. If that's all right with you.
Okay, yeah, we can put them on the 19th. So calendar number 21-108 will be withdrawn from April 28th, and it will be placed on the docket for May 19th. Before we adjourn, do we have any upcoming absences from our board members? All right, hearing none, I will see your smiling faces here, and we're adjourned at 10:48. Have a great day, everyone.